Hi everybody, Phil Liggett, and this, the 93rd Liege Bastogne Liege, 262 kilometres. The riders signing in here at the start in Liege. Paolo Bettini, the world number one. Just look at the fuss being made of him here. And this is the man who a few days ago cleaned up in Flèche Wallonne. David Rebellin. Pressure's on him now. He can't complete the triple like he did a couple of years ago, but he has had a second and a win of the two races, Amstel Gold and the Flèche. Alexander Vinokurov, another man who is looking for good form, as is Damiano Cunego. He'll be looking forward, of course, for the upcoming Giro d'Italia. Nice wave, Damiano. Thank you very much. The killer, Danilo De Luca, third in the Flèche Wallonne. I hope he was smiling, well, sort of. As he prepares, Frank Schleck. Oh no, it's not, it's Jens Voigt from Team CSC, one of the most popular riders on the circuit. And this is the man signing in for the last time in the Ardennes, because this is Michael Bogart, the champion of the Netherlands on his final year. Oh, this is Frank Schleck, and on the right is the American rider, Bobby Jurek. The quiet man. Philippe Gilbert, again, lives in this region. Tried a little escape in the Flèche, didn't work. Maybe he'll try again today. I'm sure he will. He's a balloon. And this is Axel Merck, another balloon here, son of Eddie, and also, as Daniel Manjas has just said, coming up for the last time to sign in for this event. And the man on the microphone there, by the way, talks away forever, never looks at a single note, knows every rider intimately. He's probably the most knowledgeable rider in the world of cycling. He's Daniel Manjas, the speaker of the Tour de France, and the man who has seen it all. Kelly Barkley won back in 1997 and 98. These are the past winners. Van den Broek somewhat in disgrace these days. 1999 winner. Bettini we've seen, he won in 2000, and what a great ride it was in 2002 as well. Rollout time here in Liège, 262 kilometres is on the menu today. This, I think, well, it's for many people the best classic of them all. One thing's for sure, it's the oldest classic of them all. Starting way back in the late 1800s and going to this very day, and a long way too. We start in Liège, but these days we finish up over the other side of the river as we go up to the finish in Ans. Fairly easy on the way south, that's why we never really bring the action until we're on the way back. They have a couple of hills to warm up on the Côte de Nid and the Côte de Roche-en-Ardenne, but the big hill's coming towards the end. And there's a beautiful view today of the Belgian Ardennes, and down there the circuit of the Francorchamps, the Circuit de Francorchamps, which is a motor race circuit here in Belgium. Tucked away in the Ardennes. Goodness knows how they got permission to cut down all that forest to build a motor race track. I don't know, but they did. We're joining the action now, and we've got 4 riders clear. They've been out front since 10 kilometres today, and they're now holding, they've been up to over 18 minutes. Which is the way it is when you ride down Liège towards Bastogne. They rely on the hills on the way back. There are 12 of them all told, 10 of them on the return trip. And then the peloton get down to the work of bringing back the brave ones. And it's down now, as you can see, to just over 10 minutes. The riders are Unai Echeverria, Remy Di Gregorio, Vasil Kirienka, who's a Belarus rider, by the way, and Jan Kijks, who rides for Landbouw Credit. So a mixture of youth and old men up in front. Unai Echeverria is 34 now and has done well in the Flèche Wallonne. He's had a fourth and a second in 2003-2002 in that event. This is the Rabobank team now, sending men up to the front. I think it's the sort of race they would like Michael Bogart to deliver in today. As he's riding every race he rides this year, be his last one, but he's been a great performer. Here we're looking now at Remy Di Gregorio. He's been a pro since 2005, always on France-les-Jeux. We're climbing the Côte de Rossier. Just a short one. Well, it's not such a short one, but it doesn't go very high. It's actually 2.5 miles long. It's a steady old drag, this. Di Gregorio came to note really in 2006 when he did well in the Tour de l'Avenir, won a stage in Puy. And in 2003, I think he probably got his contract when he won the Dutch Junior Time Trial Champion. He signed for the French team. Still only 21. And And looking back at the main field here, Bobby Julich did a tentative escape there and found nobody with him, so he's just checking on his radio to see if we're all together. But we can tell him he is. A little flexing of the leg muscles there. The last Spanish winner to win this was also the winner last year, was Alejandro Valverde. Had a great double last year, which gave him the World Cup, or the Pro Tour title these days. Those that like the Pro Tour, I must say I'm not a supporter of it, because very rarely does the winner ever take part in the next race, although that's proved to be wrong in the last 2 events, because Rebellin has turned up. Alexander Vinokurov became the first rider in Kazakhstan to win this 2 years ago, and of course in 2004 was the completion of the treble for David Rebellin. Back up with the lead, as it looks as though we've lost one of the riders here, and it looks as though Jan Kuyks has said farewell to the breakaway. We've only got 3 left, as the gap has gone up now to 10 minutes. Or gone down rather to 10 minutes. The race itself, it starts out in Liege and then plunges all the way south. It goes just below Spa, where we were with the Flèche Wallonne, but we don't go on mainly the main roads, same roads. Race out through Stavelot and down towards Bastogne, where we turn. There's an American tank parked in Bastogne, in reminiscence of the way the Belgian people of the Rhône region appreciate what the Americans did in the World War here, and the tank still stands as they make their way then back up through the hills and through the beauty. The real beauty of the region is around Romochon and Aiguaille, and then over the Col de la Redoute. Well, they call it the Côte de la Redoute, but I'm afraid by that time it's a col. Now they do have, by the way, and you're probably interested to know this if you want to ride in this area, they do have what they call a cyclo sportif here, or a randonneur, or just a fun ride. And they get many thousands of entries. It starts in Tilf, which is just south of Liège, just off the main E25 motorway. Easy to drive into and pick up the start. And they ride the same course, but they start and finish at Tilf, just to keep the congestion away from the city of Liège. But they do ride all the same hills. A little story, because I rode it once with my cycling club. And when there were 2 of us left, I knew my mate was getting tired when he asked to stop for a cup of tea, and I wouldn't stop. And of course I finished on my own, but I found out later on that a number of my club members, because they come through Romochon, where our hotel was, which is at the foot of the La Redoute time, they all passed through and went to bed for 3 hours. We all got up again and still finished the ride and got their medal. Just that I had to wait a long time for the lift back home. Huge peloton packing the roads. There hasn't been much to say in way of attacks. I can't say at the moment it's been the greatest Liège-Bastogne-Liège, the 93rd edition, but they're getting a bit excited now. There hasn't really been anybody getting off the front of this big pack. They've been allowing these 4 riders to run. They've shown them no respect at all. They believe they're going to come back. The big names are not there. Vasil Kiriyenko, the Belarus rider, is 25, first-year professional though. And he is a time trial champion 3 times for his country, so he's got a bit of quality. He's a very good track rider, by the way. Got a bronze medal in the World Championships in Bordeaux in 2006 in the points race, which is very often you get good road riders doing well in those mass start track events. And that's the Belarus rider in the Tinkoff colours, and there he is on cue. But he's given his legs a thorough testing today, because they've been out front since 10 kilometres in, so we've only just got south of Liège before they were gone. On the undulations, even though they're not main climbs, the roads are very rarely flat for long in this part of the world. To give you a little bit of the rundown, 57 times the Belgian riders have won this race, out of a total of 92. Normally the Belgians hate hills, so they've done pretty well in this particular event. Tyler Hamilton, the only American to have won this, and we've had 2 wins in Ireland, which is Stephen Roach, of course, and only 3 from Holland, so the odds on Michael Bogart pulling it off today are not looking too good. The way these riders are riding, they're nipping off the time, 10 minutes now, I'm feeling they've got it under control. 65 kilometres to go. Normally a 10-minute lead would have a chance, but I think we'll see how they get over the steep climb still to come. That will tell us everything. They're over the Rossier now, which was just under the 200 kilometre mark. So now we're through the distance now, which the riders who rode in Flèche have now covered the same distance already. The rest were off into the unknown, and we still have the Côte de Verquet, La Redoute, Sprimont, Sartillement and Saint-Nicolas. And we don't count the climb up to the finish as one of the 12 climbs, and it's always decisive. Echevarria. It's good to see a Spanish cyclist, a Basque cyclist indeed, in the breakaway today. And this is the first time we've ever seen a close-up of Kirienka from Belarus. Oh, Remy de Gregorio. Some of the countries, two countries notably, by the way, have never won this. I confess, Great Britain, but we've been close. Barry Hogan was third in 1969, and Robert Miller was there in 1988. A great climber from Scotland. And in Australia, Phil Anderson has come close. He got second in 1984, but we're still waiting for better results. And I can say with some confidence they won't be improving on those places today. Now, Danilo De Luca's team. Might be interesting this. He was showing good aggression, good form, and above all, great confidence in the Flèche Wallonne. And so they're going to he's going to tell a teammate to go up and help out other teams just to get the race a bit closer. The gentleman's agreement. Oh dear me. Well, this is the end of Gabriel, I think it is. Frédéric Gabriel. We found the climb a little bit one too far. Actually, I remember this climb when I did ride. This was the climb my mate wanted to stop for a cup of tea. Absolutely convinced it was. You never think the top is coming. Didier Roos, another champion of France, dropping off the back as well. It just grinds on the Rossier. You know you're getting high, but it's difficult to know because the trees are always on your shoulder. Surprisingly, this is trouble here for Aitor Galdos as well. Tempo a little bit too high. These are not big climbers' climbs, these are strong men's climbs where the tempo is high and strength required more than pure climbing talent. And also Ryan Cox, a former champion of South Africa, being dropped off there. And he's a good climber, usually. This is the breakaway trio. We didn't see any picture of Jan Kuyks, but the gap slowly coming down. The group at 3:52 will be Jan Kuyks, dropped from the group. Lost time pretty quickly too. Not surprisingly, as the road's tilted up, it's the Euskaltel rider, Echevarria, who's keeping pace at the front. Well, this is the first hurt, I think, that's been applied to the peloton. And it's come at the 64 kilometre to go point. Time to thin out the bunch and just see who is up for the ride today. Liege saying goodbye to the spring classes. It used to be the Amstel Gold Race, but I think it was a common sense decision to switch them around and put Flèche Wallonne in between. And finish with Liege now. And then it's on to the start of the small tours, leading us, of course, to the Grand Tour Giro d'Italia. And that's why many of the riders here are using this distance now, 262 kilometres, to test those legs for the upcoming races, which they will be targeting. Tour of Romandy is the next big one. Now you see, if you were on your bike having a nice touring ride, you could have swung sharp right there and found yourself a beautiful climb. A bit too narrow to take the Liege, Bastogne Liege over it, unfortunately, but for you, you love every minute, especially when you get to the top. Sitting here at the back is Salvatore Commesso. First shot to four with a stage win in South Africa in his first year as a pro when he rode for Seiko. He won a stage into Durbanville down near Cape Town. That was the first time we'd heard of him. He's gone on to win a couple of stages of the Tour de France and be the champion of Italy a couple of times. Looks like it might be Nick Gates here. No. Could be. Not too sure. End of him anyway. Salvatore, the wise old man of pro cycling, you see. He's just dodging around the bodies, keeping in the position. Hard to dislodge him. Flag of the Wallon people waving proudly in the sky as the peloton packs the wall to wall here on this beautiful climb. Fast tempo riding, nobody willing to lift the pace. It's too early for them to make any decisive moves. Perhaps La Redoute will do something, as the stars will try to break it up there for sure. Bogart still sitting in down there too as the champion of Holland. And the team of the moment, Gerolsteiner driving on again now. They're going to make it a treble today at the Spring Classics. This used to be the unfashionable team from Germany, but now it's rapidly becoming #1. T-Mobile, their performance is not the best yet, but Gerolsteiner started to fire pretty well. Quick step on the front. I think that's Bram Tankink who's setting the pace up there. Dutch rider on the Belgian squad. And still Salvatore sitting at the back. Arrière du peloton. Also Bar the World sitting pretty near the back as well. Hugo Sabido, who's a very good climber, the tall, lanky rider on the right. And still Salvatore here will grab any wheel he can find right now, because he knows he's just below his maximum, I would say. And he knows if he can hang on, it'll tip over very shortly. It's 2.5 miles long. And they can't be very far from the summit. Going right round the edge of this valley above us there. And I can hear on race radio 4 minutes 50. I would think that's to Jan Koijks at the moment. Or it might even be Jan's. Yes, that's what they're saying. Jan Koijks is 4:50 up the road. Good tempo riding. Gerolsteiner again hoping that Rebellin can deliver at the end of this one. You see the motorbike cameraman there. Well, the motorbike pilots are well known to the bike riders. They certainly do not allow anybody just to take the bike onto the race, because they know those guys understand exactly their riding style. They'll read the wind with the riders. They won't be on the wrong side of them when the wind changes direction. And therefore they're quite confident to have them amongst them. Occasionally it goes wrong, but very, very rarely. We passed the 1 kilometre to the top sign, which means that the leaders are over the top and heading away. Gerolsteiner will continue to set the tempo right to the top here. So that'll be off the Rossier, heading for the Côte de la Vaquée, which will take us through 210. It's not too far after the top of the Rossier, actually. About 4 kilometres or so. Everybody content to leave its status quo at the minute. Over the years, we've seen this race break up, but in recent years, in modern times, the peloton has been very difficult to dislodge in Liège-Bastogne-Liège, quite often holding together to La Redoute, and sometimes even after La Redoute, and really just breaking up in the battle of the strong men over the last 10 kilometres. Hard to imagine Bernard Hinault winning this race once in a snowstorm. Changing times now, the most pleasant day today. Beautiful day, warm. Spring in full bloom right now. Sean Kelly won this race in 1989, 1984. I think I credited Stephen Roach, didn't I, a little bit earlier? Sean won't like that. Because Sean was a great all-rounder, a man who could sprint, could climb, and could win classics like this, which he did on a couple of occasions. Roach should have won this race, but he messed about in a breakaway when he was with Claude Coquillon. He had it won, and then all of a sudden, up from behind came Moreno Argentin. This was in the magical 1987 year, and Argentin caught them when he should never have caught them, hit them straight away, and he won the race. And really, he was never the winner, but it just shows you never give up, because the other two watched each other just a bit too long, and they slowed right down. And that was when Argentin was really the king of the classics. One of the few Italians who just loved being in Belgium, and you could throw any weather you like at him, he could handle it. Interesting to see this road barriered off here, in the middle of absolute nowhere. Probably though that's done not to stop the crowd, but to stop vehicles parking just off the side of the road, which would cause quite a problem. The silence of the peloton as they continue now just to do the work that they have to do. Leaky gas, one man up for Danilo De Luca. Quick step, always willing to throw a little bit of weight into it. Could be for somebody like Cedric Basser or Paolo Bettini. We haven't seen much of Paolo at all since he signed on. As far as I know, he's still in there. Twice a winner of this race. They'll just keep it steady. Bram Tankink driving with them at the front here. Gerolsteiner for Revelin. Lampre also putting riders into the front to do a little bit of work. Well, they've got Cunego, who might want to test his legs today. They've also got a strong rider, Sylvester Schmid, the Polish rider too. Time to wake up the sleepy villages of the Ardennes as the peloton goes through 7 3/4 minutes after the 3-man breakaway. Cool is where we are. Beautiful little villages that become ghost towns on any weekday you want to pedal through. Not the place to be at the back, but it looks as though Discovery Channel have got themselves a couple of vacancies here. Nice long descent away from the Rocher now. I'll get to the bottom just in time to start the climb of the Côte de l'Avec, which is 3.1 kilometers long and an average of just on 6%. Again, about 1 in 12. A bit more. It's a bit steeper. 7 minutes 38, still coming down inside, well inside 60 kilometers to go now. These are the leaders. Remember, they got away after 10 kilometers today. So they've been away almost 200 kilometers now. Incredible ride. Remarkable ride, really. To do that without the main peloton chasing you takes some doing. Seen his team car parked on the right there, Echevarria. Just wondering there, what happened to Kirienko? Probably just taking food? Yes. Vital at this stage of the race after such energy sapping riding today. Some 5 hours in the lead. Still looks pretty strong, actually. He's been a very, very good track cyclist for Belarus. He's always ridden well on the velodromes as an amateur, medalled out. Now he's trying to make his way on what is a new team this year, Tinkoff, and since day one they've been out to impress. Every race they ride, they seem to get a man in the breakaway around the world. We first saw Pavel Brut in the Tour de Langkawi this year, attacked daily, narrowly failing to get stages, along with Trusov, another rider, strong rider on the team, sponsored by a Russian entrepreneur. And so a lot of the riders come from the former Soviet Union countries. They've also signed Tyler Hamilton. Allez, Liege, come on, the boys. 7:36, coming down quite rapidly at the moment, isn't it? And we're on to the bottom of the colt. A little cheer for the boogeyman, Michael Bogart, for the last time. Echevarria flexing his climbing legs. This is Remy Di Gregorio, 21 years of age, long career ahead of him. Just think, Remy, you can be climbing this hill in another 10 years' time, or even more. Probably not the time to tell him that, really. Echevarria just doing what he has to do now, all feeling a little bit of fatigue, I think. And why not? 198 kilometres they've been up front. Cheers there for Di Gregorio, so somebody spotted him. Still the same riders on the front here, nobody yet livening affairs up at all. They're going to let the hills do the talking, I think, towards the end, the way they're looking today. Not in any mood to push on at all. The leader's just hoping, of course, there is no reaction. There's a little bit of screws being turned now. Perhaps it's time. At 54 kilometres to go and 7 minutes the gap, they really do need to lift this pace now. They want to be a lot closer than this by the time they get to La Redoute. Well taken. Could play for England in the cricket if you can catch like that. 7 minutes 17 seconds the gap. Good turn here. I'm pretty sure this is Bram Tankink again driving at the front here for Quickstep. Now what's happened here? Nothing. He's on the front. Just a moment, I thought he was off the back. They know that the gap is coming down, but it's coming down regularly but quite slowly just now. 7 1/4. Echevarria. This is of course a Spanish team, but if you speak to Euskaltel Euskadi, they'll always tell you it is a Basque team because all of the riders come from that region. Except one, and I think it's Sanchez, who isn't actually a Basque rider. Concentration of a man he built like a track rider, and I mean he does ride well on the track, Kirienka. This year he got off to a great start on the road. He got second overall in the Étoile de Bessèges, which is the opening stage race of the year in France in February. Took that form to the Tirreno Adriatico, runs at the same time more or less as Paris-Nice, and he finished third in the King of the Mountains. So he's obviously not a bad climber either, but I think it's more brute strength than the high climbs at that time of the year. There is a beautiful chateau here, deep into the Ardennes. And if they gave us the name, I'd tell you all about it, but unfortunately I haven't a clue. And the riders can't see it either because they're buried by the trees here as the peloton, now inside 7 minutes. First time they've been in this position for the best part of 180 kilometres. The long line all being pulled along by the one rider from Quickstep. Nobody you see willing to take up or help at the minute, and for that reason he's doing a terrific ride on his own. Change at the front. Gerolsteiner now pushing it out a little bit. Watch the clock because it's probably starts to tick off a little bit quicker now. New power at the front, more food on the way. Everybody beginning to get a bit nervous now at just on 50 kilometres from the finish. Just sitting here at the back is Manuel Calvente, Spanish rider on Agri Turbo. Number 97 there is Ruben Perez, Spanish rider on Euskaltel. And just hope his teammate wins so he can have some of his money when he gets to the finishing line. But there's a lot more urgency now as they leave the feeding station here. Now it's time for different riders to start sending men up. Fresh blood at the front to drive on now. 5:50, that's the gap to Kykes. A bit further back to the peloton. We're going to see Jan Kykes in the next 5 or 6 kilometres come into this group, I would say. Well, that's an extraordinary picture. What a lovely picture that is of the peloton of the 93rd Liege-Bastogne-Liège coursing through the town here and enjoying themselves. Roads completely clear of traffic. The bicycle rules, as does the killer, Danilo De Luca. Not the best place to be, but he's sat right at the back. It's an awful long way to the front right now, as it's a long, thin line here for Danilo. Has this very crouched position with his turned up handlebars. Looks most uncomfortable, but it seems to be extremely effective for him. Wow, and that was a rather tight in the brakes because that was Michael Barry there, the Canadian rider, T-Mobile, seemed to lock up his gears and they shot straight out the back. There's Kykes. Yeah, we won't mention the icing on the Kykes, but he's back in the bunch. Lambau credit. This is team. This is a Dutch team, and here are the 3 leaders still enjoying this very unusual warm sunshine at this time of the year. Kirienko of Tinkoff looking good. Remy Di Gregorio also looking good. They're still looking good, really. They can only hope they survive. They know if the chase is organised, they haven't got a hope. But if they can hold it together and not panic, there's always a chance. Echeverria is off to a good start this year because he doesn't win very many races. He's only won, I think it's 8 in his career. This year, though, he made it 9 because he won a race in February. One of the races over in Mallorca when they have a series of one-day races and they link it all together on a point system. You don't have to ride every one. There's Michael riding himself back into the race. Another couple of riders in trouble here as they drop off the back end. One is Jan Kykes straight through. Well, this is a little bit unusual. Marcus Foten here, also losing contact. Early season, legs aren't quite up to it. Michael Barry slipping away again here, and he's got Hugo Subido. We saw Subido sitting near the back, and it looks as though he's not got odds. He rode very well earlier in the season, in March. His change of form here, same too for Barry. And this is all down now to Lamprey, driving at the front, 5:52. We're inside 6 minutes of 52 kilometres to go. 3 riders left up front. They've just allowed these 3 riders to weigh at 10 kilometres and then have just let them to it. This is Sylvester Schmid, who I thought might have produced a good finish today. Been back to the team car. Top of the Côte de la Vecchie, and Echeverria, the climber, over the top. That puts them through now at 210 kilometres, and it's exactly right. Add that on to 51.9, you get 262, more or less. So now we just make our way down towards Remonchon, where my mates went into the bedroom for 3 hours and got out and finished the ride. And then we make a left there, then a right, and we fly up the La Redoute. Also finding the pace just a little bit hard here is Chris Brandt, who's also a good climber. Got himself involved in a doping scandal a couple of years ago, vehemently denied it, got away with it, but I have to say, hasn't really ridden that well ever since. And it looks as though he's just hoping the top of the climb comes a little bit sooner than it might, and that way he'll get back on. Well, the peloton is getting smaller by the minute. Cedric Vasseur is the rider doing some work here as well. But now the order's gone out, probably by Damiano Cunego, to try and get up to that breakaway, at least make it manageable for the hills which lie ahead. This rider here is poor old Bobby Julich. Now where is he? It looks like Bobby. Surprised about that, because Brandt has come back up to him, but Bobby Julich also deciding that the climber La Vetgue is one climb too many. There's 4 noted climbs still to come, plus the climb to the finish. And Bobby Julich saying enough is enough. So the winner of the Paris-Nice race in brilliant style a couple of years ago is now living to fight another day, no doubt waiting for the stage races. Had a successful visit to California, in the Amgen Tour California, where something just under 2 million spectators watched that race. Arnold Schwarzenegger dubbed it the most watched sporting event in the state of California this year. And Bobby finished 4th in that event, won by Levi Leipheimer. Well, Lamprey have got the interest here as they continue to set the pace. David Lucy on the front, I think. Case Dapon of Alejandro Valverde bunching up on the far left. Well worth watching. We saw how well they rode in the Flesh Wallon. Rodriguez is in the team again today, along with Valverde. I think they're 2 riders who won't be far away when it comes down to the final shooting match. Still, there's a little problem with 3 riders up front, but I think they'll solve it as we go now just on to 50 kilometres left. They're hanging on to just 5 minutes or more. And they're bound fair now for Remerchon and La Redoute. Now La Redoute, to the mere mortal, probably use a 25 or 26 sprocket. These guys will probably go up within 24. Maybe even 23 if they're really in an angry mood, but it is very steep. Down in the valley. You could probably see Liege once they get round the corner across the valleys. Still a fair way away before we race past the famous Stade Liège football stadium, Standard Liège football stadium. Inside 50, inside 5 minutes. As they come up from the right here, not uphill, it was our camera was slightly tilted. As the peloton are still making steady progress here, but it's all building up to a huge explosion. They can't just keep this up. It's all been a little bit too orderly so far today, Liège-Bastogne-Liège. Handful of teams who fancy they've got the winners on the team, sending their men just to share the pace, make it known that they're willing to help in the chase while they plan their final assaults with the top riders. Just coming down to the back of the group is Bingen Fernandez of Spain from Cofidis. Cofidis become a much more international team in recent years because they're now planning a Pro Tour team, of course, for all events. And so they've not just got Spanish riders, they've got Italian riders, Colombian riders and Belgian riders in this team in the race today. And this Leonardo Duque from Colombia is a very good sprinter. Now this isn't a climb, but you can see how these long steady drags promote high speed and big effort and a long straight line. The Walloon crowd a lot more orderly than the Flemish crowd, I think, because they would tend to be jumping around, screaming, shouting and waving flags, blowing whistles. But here we are in the French-speaking Walloon area where they politely applaud as the riders go by. Let's see where all the riders are down there. I don't see the World Championship fans at the moment of Paolo Bettini, two-time winner. This is where Bettini really broke into the big time when he, well, there he is, just off the top left of our picture there, at the end of the arrowhead. So he's not too far away. The first thing he did when he won this race for the first time was telephone his best friend Bartoli and tell him he just won Liege Bastogne Liege, because at that time Bartoli, who couldn't ride that year, was the top man in this event.
De toute façon, faire un 370 ici, c'est impossible.
Three leaders still going as well as they can do, but the gap is now a very manageable 4 minutes. And at 47 kilometers to go, it's never going to make it. But just how long can they hold off the field in the oldest and one of the longest one-day classic races left on the calendar? Longest, by the way, Milan-San Remo, just short of 300 kilometers, and yet it never seems that far because the riders tend to fly down the coastline to San Remo. Oh, I heard somebody shout "attention," and that was the reason. This is not going to go much further because that chase is having quite an effect now. I'm not so sure they'll even make La Redoute. And is Echevarria now finding it a little bit too difficult? Remember, we're now well over 200 kilometers, but this breakaway has been clear. Look at the undulations of this stunning area of Belgium. Not far from Germany, not far from anywhere really. Luxembourg, not far from Holland. The Amstel Gold Race itself changes countries very briefly, so he can turn the riders around to come back into Holland. As it's always tucked away in that little area we call Little Switzerland with the short, sharp climbs. And still at the back, making sure everybody stays in front of him, Salvador Camesso. Searching for the form. While at the front, Gerolsteiner searching for the win. Probably with David Rebellin if he gets his chance. The two riders who have been the stars of the classics are both in the team today. Stefan Schumacher won Amstel Gold Race so well, albeit a big surprise, but a great ride. And Rebellin last Wednesday, taking flesh. Having a look at the team there, we've seen Marcus Foten in trouble. Tim Klinger's had a spot of bother as well. Olivier Zug, Marcus Zeberg and Fabian Reckman could be strong on the day if it breaks right for them. The Orbea bike of Echevarria, rather nice bicycle that, certainly nice colours. Well, these three riders certainly will remember each other for the rest of their careers, I reckon. They've ridden very, very well together. I haven't seen anybody miss a turn at the front. They've shared the front. Goodness knows what language they're talking. I doubt any of them speaks Basque. That's not a good sign when the lead car goes past. And I don't think they'll speak Russian. So that leaves the Frenchman there to use sign language, I would think. Who's from Marseille? I think earlier I said he won the Dutch Time Trial Championship. Well, that must have been a mistake. It must be the French one. Junior Time Trial Champion. A few years ago now, but he's still only 21. Di Gregorio. Well, can you imagine, after over 210 kilometres in the lead, still to be pedalling like this, holding off the whole field of Liege Bastogne Liege, 3.5 minutes the gap. It is an absolutely outstanding performance by these three riders, and no doubt the emails are coming asking why do they break away and do all this when they know they're never going to win. Well, the answer is quite simply they're distracting other teams. Other teams are being forced to chase, use men up, use energy. They may not be winning, but one of the teammates might finish it off in their favour. And of course, for young riders, it's a way to become noticed and remembered. And that's certainly the case now for Remy Di Gregorio, who's been in this breakaway all day. And his team manager too, Mark Madio, will certainly remember such a good ride today, and it'll be telling Mark that this guy's got some good talent and good strength, and as he develops he might become a very good cyclist. So Lamprey swing off in favour of Cunego. Leaky Gas come through in favour of De Luca. Gerolsteiner move up behind in the light blue in favour of Rebellin. Are those the riders who are going to decide the race? Again, Castapan, who came to the front very late in Flèche-Wallonne, are obvious by not being obvious. Haven't sent a rider up to help out yet, but Valverde, believe me, is in there. So too is Joaquin Rodriguez. Boyd Telecom boys at the back. Oh, these are the Milram riders nearest. The Boyd Telecom's off to the right there. That's Xavier Florencio, the Spanish member of the team, far right. Should enjoy a ride like this. Number 138 is Benoit Poilvet, looking for his team car. Meanwhile, the boys from Milram, Mirko Celestino is 102. Very good classics rider. Doesn't seem to be getting the results just of now, but he has been a very good classics rider. Too far away actually from getting down towards the bottom of the ladder Doute here. Once we get to the top of the ladder Doute, we'll have covered 227 kilometres, so about 35 to go. We've got 43 at the moment. We're heading down towards Rémichon now. See the constant changing now at the front as riders know they're approaching what is arguably the most difficult climb of the whole day of racing. Bettini is the artist. He's down at about 20 men back. The world champion in the white jersey, they're off to the right. He always holds position with such skill, but you know, to hold the position takes such strength as well, because there'll be a flurry from the left-hand side, and then you've got to make sure you move with that flurry to stay exactly where you are. Otherwise, slowly but surely, you're swamped and you're washed out the back line. Only the strong ride near the front. I'm not too sure about Kiriyenka. I think if somebody goes, it might be Kiriyenka on ladder Doute. Sun now right overhead. Might never get hotter than this all year in Belgium. This might be summer. Well, the Basque rider's happy enough with that, coming from the north of Spain, beginning to warm up in that part of the world right now. Not too far to the Pyrenees on the Spanish side. A silent hell for these boys for just over 5.5 hours. I've never seen one of them speak to another one. They just get on with the job, automatically doing what they know they do as professionals. That's help each other against the common enemy. I've never seen anybody even gesture to one another. We got rid of Jan Kijks. He's headed back and into the peloton, and probably in the shallows by now, I would think, because he was certainly dispatched from the big pack as soon as they caught him. At 40 kilometres, it's 3 minutes. This is like a painful execution, isn't it? Still the same team's got men on the front. And they're doing a great job. They're just catching it second by second. No big rush. They know if they get up, it's the old story. There'll be more attacks coming from the bunch. They know too that in 5 kilometres, they'll be at the top of the ladder Doute. Very shortly we'll be on the lower slopes. We descend down into Rémichon. And this could be the crossroads. Yes, there's the pub where we all stay, where my teammates took 3 hours in bed before they continued. Strong men will out at the front, not the best place to be, just here at the back right now. This is for the Boyd Telecom riders. Xavier Florencio will still be in the peloton if he's lucky at the top, but that's about all he can expect. Stefan Kleinen is 234. La Redoute is a pretty exposed climb, guaranteed there'll be thousands of people on it. They've had to walk to it because it's difficult to get your car on there, and the police get out early to know the enthusiasm of the Belgian spectator. You'll see the main autoroute running down the side there, and you'll see they use it as a car park, believe it or not. And that was people power, because some years ago people just parked anyway, and the police tried to arrest them all. It seemed pointless exhibition, so they've now decided to use it as a car park. And you'll see the car stop there very shortly. And that's a main freeway which goes down to Bastogne itself. Well, you get some idea just how fast these guys are pedaling now. It is slightly downhill here, by the way. 2:52, 38 kilometers to go. This is the descent before the climb. Just nip through the crossroads at the bottom. Anybody with ambition will need to be at the front 20 riders in the peloton, because it could split. Here's the bridge over Remuchon. They'll make a right turn shortly for the leaders. This is where a lot of the cars are parked. I wonder if Unai knows what's around the corner. I would suspect he does. Echevarria. They used to have a criterium here on one occasion, but I don't think they still hold it now, because it's one of the small stretches of cobbled roads in the Walloon area. Last drink before death on La Redoute, I suspect. There's the left turn at the back of the town now, down the right, shortly under the railway bridge, and then it hits you in the face. Echevarria, by the way, I've been telling he rides for the Basque team, and he basically speaks the language, but he is in fact from Venezuela, although I don't think he sees much of Venezuela these days. Lives in northern Spain with the team. This is the chase for the corners now. Coffin is leading the charge. Just looking, the big names aren't apparent yet. I would have expected to have seen Michael Bogart in his championship jersey. Might have just caught a glimpse of him then. And moving up. It's not perhaps today where you can win this race, but you can certainly lose it on La Redoute, because if you miss a split here by sitting near the back, you won't get back on, because they'll be off like rabbits for the finish. Once they're over the top of La Redoute, so there's a false flat, and then we start over the Côte du Spinot and the Sartimont, Saint-Nicolas, as we head over by Liege and up to the finish. 2:37 the gap. This is the start of the climb now. You think you're on it here. This is a false flat. Just up on the corner there. These people have seen it all before. That's why they've got the tables out. Just once a year they have a barbecue. There's the bridge, there's the autoroute. And shortly you can see the cars on it already, look. Packed with stock vehicles. There's the peloton making the left turn out of the countryside, over the river. Then they make a sharp right back over the river and up. The actual hill is the top of our picture to the right. The river Amblève. There's the climb, and there is the autoroute with all the cars stopped. Now where else in the world would you do that except in Belgium? I could just imagine them closing down the M1 in Great Britain, which is the main highway, links London with the north. Well, this is taking you south and on into Germany. Or you can even go this way to Luxembourg as well. Not today though. Makes a good car park, something for the future perhaps. Well, I thought he wasn't feeling too good, and Kirienko has decided that La Redoute is just one little coat too far. But hats off to the 21-year-old, because he's still there, and Echevarria, obviously you're not feeling that great, otherwise he might have tried to go it alone here. Too far, 35 kilometres to the finish. They need each other. This isn't the steep part of the climb. Phil, by the way, is Philippe Gilbert down there. Terrific atmosphere on the climb. What little bit of strength is left. These people will know this breakaway has been on since 10 kilometres out of Liège. Many of them will have watched the race plunging south before they drove across the course to pick up the finishing here on La Redoute. They will have seen them in the lead going south, and now they're looking at the two survivors coming back. Well, they barriered the road. That saves them closing it down by jumping on it. And terrific riding this by Remy, keeping them up nicely. This is the hard part. I'd just like to pan down and get a look at that cluster at the back of these boys' bikes. They're pedaling, I would say, at 24:05 just now. And this is looking a little bit of trouble here, because this is Matteo Bono, the Italian, who I think was the rider doing a lot of the work up front. There's the autoroute. Go with care. Now, is it going to be a bit of a split here? And are the Schleck's going to cause it? This is the lower part of the slope. This is decision time now. The gap is inside 2 minutes. 35 kilometres to go. If they catch them by the top, everybody will unleash their anger. Those with the legs left, that is. They might let them hang a little bit longer if they can afford to hold off. And Bogart has climbed into the picture, about 4th or 5th rider down. Meanwhile, nearly at the top. Hardest part of the ride, this. And still it is Remy Di Gregorio who's setting the pace at the front. Neutral service, Mavic on the right here. The Belgian flag flies, indicating quite a little breeze up towards the top, and it's not favourable. And CSC look here as though they've got visions on doing something. Now, I think Frank Schleck might be their man. Looks like rider going the way here. I think it's Christian van der Velde who stamped his authority on this race. Such an underrated bike rider. Yes, it is. If you could hold the camera steady for just a second, but that's van der Velde here who's moving clear. It's a shame that he hasn't got one or two with him. He's got no chance going it alone. Just needs a little bit of help. The other man we would normally see and haven't is Jens Voigt. We saw him sign on, we haven't seen him since. Bogart is the big man in the national colours there with the red top, sitting off the back. Surprisingly, they're all waiting. They're not pushing home an advantage here, not trying to do anything at all. The crosswind, we run out of barriers, I see, and the tape's not very effective as the riders continue up the slope. 1:37. This is catching the legs now. Antonio Colom on the left from Bastogne. And a huge move here now coming on the climb by Quickstep. This is nothing like the explosion I expected to see. That peloton is virtually climbing almost together here. Well, van der Velde has done pretty well here to get onto the move. I think that was Carlos Barredo who tried to make the move. Yes, it is Barredo. He's come clear of the peloton. I'm not sure if he's I think, yes, he has. He's passed van der Velde and gone on alone. There's van der Velde going back into the pack. They're just riding tempo. They've got François Jeux on the front, trying to keep it that way. Not surprisingly, because they've got a man up front. This is Barredo. Just keeping the gear. He's nearly at the top here. And pulled away from the field. And look at that. It can't be much more tightly packed. Somebody else is just trying to break away off the front. This is Jens Voigt. I think he's going off the wrong end of the group just now. Jens under a little bit of pressure there. And Barredo has got himself out on the pedals. As a member of the Liberty Seguros team, which collapsed after the doping problems it had. It's a great shame. They're a good sponsor. When will the riders ever learn? One must ask the question. And Barredo has found his second win. He's kicked again and he's gone clear. But unfortunately, he went straight past Christian van der Velde. It's a pity he hadn't gone up to him a little bit later on the climb. This is the top now. Just a little bit of a false flat for the moment. Michael Bogart looking for some help. Life at the back here for Bouygues Telecom and Laurent Lefebvre. Setting the pace on the front is Francisco Perez, Castapan, Battini's moved up nicely. But this isn't a ride in anger at all up this climb. There hasn't been a single attack by a noted rider. Let's have a look at the gap to Barredo. He's under the banner and over the top, and the boys up front. Kirienko's gone past him now. He's behind, I think. Well, that was. This is the carnage here now, but they might get back here because this peloton has not turned the final screws. Bettini has gone up to the leader, I think, and 2 by 2. They see the thing is, they see the banner, they come over the top, they ease off, but that's not the top of the climb. It drags before they make a right turn, and if you keep the pressure on, you might slip away. Carlos Barredo won the 3rd stage of the Tour Down Under, which was his big comeback last year, not this time around, when he was riding for Liberty Seguros. Tends to find his form pretty early on. Winner of the Grand Prix Pinot-Cirami, also in Belgium, around the time of Paris-Roubaix. Somebody's nipped through on the outside from Liege. Any takers? Got a good reaction here. Quickstep are very vigilant today. Obviously, Bettini wants them to chase things down. This is Carlos. Only won 2 races in his career, largely because last year in the 3 days of the Panna, which is a race on the northern coastline of Belgium, and a rather nasty crash. Everybody seems to crash in that race, and he broke his arm. And there is Kirienko, so he wasn't caught on La Redoute, but he's going to be caught by Barredo right now. Now we're over the top of La Redoute. We've got 33 kilometers to go. So by the time they pick up Kirienko, they've led this race for, very quick maths here, for about 220 kilometers. And the other 2 are still away. Up now. Just a little bit of a false flat for the moment. Michael Bogart looking for some help. Life at the back here for Bouygues Telecom and Laurent Lefebvre. Setting the pace on the front is Francisco Perez, Castapan, Battini's moved up nicely. But this isn't a ride in anger at all up this climb. There hasn't been a single attack by a noted rider. Let's have a look at the gap to Barredo. He's the banner and over the top, and the boys up front. Kirienko's gone past him now. He's behind, I think. Well, that was. This is the carnage here now, but they might get back here because this peloton has not turned the final screws. It's Bettini who's gone up to the leader, I think, and 2 by 2. They see the thing is, they see the banner, they come over the top, they ease off, but that's not the top of the climb. It drags before they make a right turn, and if you keep the pressure on, you might slip away. Carlos Barredo won the 3rd stage of the Tour Down Under, which was his big comeback last year, not this time around, when he was riding for Liberty Seguros. Tends to find his form, must be very close to catching those two. This is the Côte d'Esprimont, virtually. These riders are just looking at each other all the time. It's as if they cannot work out who are the strongest riders, who they want to work with, and nobody is attacking the peloton. Very strange race pattern today. These are the 2 leaders now who start the climb. And they're going into it just over a minute. Well, it says peloton. I reckon that minute, in fact, is back to Barredo. Still, it looks to me as though it's the young Frenchman who is the stronger of the 2. Just over a mile long. Might get to know the answer this time then. Well, that looks like Gerolstein and Stefan Schumacher there, and just underneath us is Vincenzo Nibali from Liege. And they must have just got off the front of the peloton. Now, this is an interesting tentative. Is Schumacher looking for a 2nd big win of the year, or indeed is he trying to soften the race up for Rebellin? But whatever you say, they're 57 seconds behind the leaders here. Not too sure now where Barredo is, but I think just ahead still. We haven't seen them be caught by the cameras. And Nibali, another young man of the future here for Liege Gas. Late chase to catch up there with Schumacher. I'm pretty sure it's Schumacher. And it is Schumacher, 145. The man who came to our notice in the Amstel Gold Race, a brilliant win there, and with that sort of confidence now, you believe you can win anything. And there's Carlos Barredo. They're going to catch him. Now we're getting an interesting race pattern, because these weren't the riders we expected. Of course, we expected Rebellin to be looking, and perhaps De Luca. So they sent out 2 top players on the team here to really try and draw the sting of the likes of Bogart, Valverde, Bettini perhaps, Cunego. Nibali may have caught up here with Schumacher, but he can't help him just now. This climb continues for a little bit longer yet. It's not the way we used to finish in the Bastogne Liege. They've sort of gone round the back, and we used to go up the main road, but now this is much harder, I think. We're off the top there. It's the passage, we've got to be very tired features here of Remy Di Gregario. Great ride by both of these men here. The Venezuelan Echevarria is 34 years of age, while Di Gregario is only 21. Carlos Barredo knows he's amongst it, but look at this now. Look over to your right, Carlos, because you need to get across. He does. He almost knocks Nibali off his bike trying to do it, but there's 3 of them now chasing. This is the peloton queuing up for the exit from the Sprimont. Last man around there, Remy Poriol from the Crédit Agricole, 137. Oh, Alexander Vinokurov not showing a great deal of interest at the head of affairs yet. Still perhaps looking for his form and riding himself quietly into it at the rear end of the race. The winner in 2005 doesn't look as though he's going to be the winner in 2007. 3 riders here now. They're settling down. It's 3 against the rest, because when they catch them, and if they catch the 2 leaders, but they're only 20 seconds behind them, they're not going to be able to work with them because they'll be too tired. So Schumacher here is making a bid. And this is the first card of Gerolsteiner. 28 kilometers to go. That's the actual top of the climb here. Cool little detour we made. This is the original road. We used to come straight up here. Vincenzo Nibali tucks in nicely at the back. Another one of the young bloods for the future. 22 years of age. He's not 23, in fact, until the end of the season in November. This is his second full season as a pro, and he's a good bike rider. He's already showing good form. No wins this year yet, but the way he's riding, I don't think they're far away. Got third in the Benelux Tour. That's the sort of Belgium, Holland, Luxembourg tour, which crosses the 3 countries. I think it usually runs in about August time. Well, all together in this little group now, they're strengthened by 2. And the rider who's got up there, Cedric Vasseur from Quickstep, has come up. I think also Asperida, his teammate behind him. We were pleased to see Vasseur. Carsten Kroon on the back here. That's an interesting one. Carsten Kroon is expected to have a good classic season. He hasn't set the world on fire yet, but he is a man that Rabobank are rumoured to want on their team next year. There he is. Carsten Kroon, 31 years of age. Showed us what he's capable of with his 4th place in the Tour of Flanders, which was a great race again this year. But he's never had a high finish in Liege. It seems the rougher classics suit him a lot better than these climbers classics. Well, the peloton, 27.6 miles to go, or kilometers rather, about 16.5 miles left to ride. It's still very much now anybody's race. Now, just as they did in Flèche-Wallonne, the Cape de Palm boys have become more in evidence at the end of the race. That'll do certainly hurt a lot of those riders in the pack. That peloton again has been reduced, but an awful lot of riders in it. We're heading up to the start of the Sarthe-Tillemont, which is in the area now of Tilth. And this will open up with a series of attacks. Bet on it. And they're going to hit it at high speed here. Still, we've got the 2 leaders up front. Will they ever catch them? One might ask. This is the peloton here. Bastogne, Rabobank, Cape de Palm seem to be the riders doing the work. This is the group up front as well. Cedric Vasseur. Little flick of the old elbow saying, give us a hand, Vincenzo. No problems. Carsten Kroon. Beredo. Man that started the counter-attack. Interesting one in Schumacher. Knee band is there. Looks like it might have been a fall at some stage, somewhere. Cedric Vasseur working very strongly here. Trying to bring back the 2 men who have led this race for so long. And if anybody deserved victory, it's the 2 boys up front. But I'm afraid professional cycling doesn't work like that. 32 seconds to the peloton, but nothing on where are the 2 leaders. Same 3 teams showing the pace at the front. Peter Weening is the rider setting the pace for Rabobank. 33 seconds. They're behind that chase group, I presume. being done here by Weaning. Well, it's got to close down. They can't just stay at a few seconds like this for much longer. We're going to see them all together by the Sartilmon, I would think, which comes at 2:48, so we're right there. Not the Spremon, I meant the Sartilmon. I don't know what I said now. We'll go with the Sartilmon. So we look down now at the leaders here. No, we don't. Yes, we do, because they've been wiped out in the game. We haven't seen the catch, our cameraman not showing it. But we're now here. This is the group, so it is the peloton at 29 seconds, and the little escape group has reached them. Well, they can't surely now take any more active part in the race. They've had an incredible day out, 6 hours in the lead today. Vincenzo Nibali taking on the last food of the day before the final assault of the Côte du Sartilmon, followed by the Côte de Saint-Nicolas. And absolutely nothing in it. With a large blanket, you could probably throw it over the whole race. Peter Weaning here, trying to bring Rabobank, and of course his team captain, Michael Bogart, riding his last LBL up to the front. Landau credit, and I think it was Nico Seymans sitting at the back of the peloton. There's one of the heroes of the day here, Di Gregorio, still with his racing jersey flapping. There's Echevarria. It's good roads to stay away from them a little bit longer yet while we're in amongst the trees, the twists and the turns. The riders won't be spotted by the peloton. Unfortunately, towards the end, as we race towards the edge, we get out onto the highway for a short spell, and the long, straight, horrible roads if you're only just in front. Inside 15 miles to go to the end of the 93rd Liège-Bastogne-Liège. No indication yet as to where the wind will come from. I'd stick my neck out and say it won't be from this group, but stranger things have happened. 26 seconds is all the gap is. Very difficult roads to get for the race commissaires to clear out the gap in between here of following cars, and that could help the chase, because we've got to descend off this little mountain road. And here's the charge from the main peloton, still holding, not getting any closer. 22.5 kilometers to go. Incredible effort by Weaning, and nobody really helping him. And yet he really is pulling out quite a long line of riders, but they are pulling back the time. It's gone out to half a minute. Still there. Because it's downhill, the two heroes of the day are hanging on here because there's no serious effort from the group while we're going down. It's a long descent. As we run now down to the bottom, we'll hit a road, the main road here, change direction, and that, I think, is when the pressure has to go on from anybody who's still got an interest in winning this race. So the peloton behind now will have a chance to recover. We're descending off the hills just for the moment, continuing to go down to the valley. And here comes the cavalry as they also head down to that same turn. Same rider on the front. He might find he's got some friends now to give him a hand. Gerolsteiner banners still flying for David Rebellin, or is it for Stefan Schumacher, who's still up in that leading group? 31 seconds. Still pulling away here. Town of Mairie. Vasseur looking over, trying to work out what to do, I think. Just checking again. Just making a double take. He might be seeing something back there. It's only 26 seconds back. Karsten Kroon. This is Vasseur. The other one is Berrido. Nibali. Schumacher. Karsten Kroon. Just one result, 4th in the Tour of Flanders so far this year for him. It looks as though Berrido might want something to eat here. Checking his back pockets. Oh dear, well, if he's feeling hungry, This isn't the time. 12 miles left to run. Not easy miles at all. Hilly miles. Vincenzo Nibali, one of the new bloods of the world of Italian cycling, is in the move. One of the older hands of French cycling now, Cédric Vasseur. Well, I must say, take a look at some of these pictures now, the way the cameraman can get right into the faces of these riders. They're actually not as close as they appear, but what terrific images they are. Looks like a model village down there. And the peloton speeding along. Take a look up the road. There's a flotilla of motorbikes, and then you can probably just catch a glimpse of the breakaway being driven on by the Bastogne team. Again, Bastogne not going quick enough as far as Rabobank are concerned. And it looks as though Peter Weening here is content to keep on. More reinforcements trying to get up on the far right. Oh, that's a bit of a nasty split in the road. May have looked worse for us than the riders. Next up, the climb of the Sartillemont. It's a long climb, a brilliant springboard for an attack. It's nearly 4 kilometers, so it's just on 2 miles long, this climb. And that's a perfect length to try and forge a breakaway from the group. There's got to be tired legs in here now. Vasseur takes a look at Vincenzo Nibali. Whether he got any message of what he saw there. These boys are under pressure, to say the least now. There's Vasseur. Joined his teammate on the attack. Without Tom Bonan this spring, the Quick-Step boys haven't quite got the results they're normally used to at this time of the year. Cedric hasn't had a real one-day classic result, I don't think, since he finished 6th in the Tour of Lombardy, which is 4 years ago now. He's certainly riding well this spring. His greatest moment, I guess, came in 1997 when he won the stage and took the yellow jersey in the Tour de France. I think his team was Crédit Agricole. It was after that when he joined Lance Armstrong on the US Postal Squad. This is an amazingly strange race because these boys, and even Bettini's now slipped down back into almost the tail of the peloton by the look of it. Down the bottom of our picture, Case Depart still moving the men up. That's Francisco Perez, who's doing a lot of work at the front for Case Depart. He's 4th rider down just now. Leaving everything to Rabobank. Once again, the arrowhead is forming. Breathe in as they crash over the planks here. Sensibly positioned though. In Australia, these planks run the same way as the bikes, so the wheels go down the middle and you all fall off. At least in Belgium, they're used to cyclists, so they tend to make them like a chevron, where you don't go down the middle. There we are, Tilth. Just down on the left is where you all sign on for the Cyclo Sportif. You're right in the middle of the hills to start with. What a lovely area to make your way into the Ardennes. The Haute. As we come over the bridge with the peloton. Looks like they've all more or less chosen the same side. Now this is the start of the climb here, and already there's somebody who's launched an attack and has caught everybody off guard as if it wasn't to be, because this is the climb of the Sartillemont, and this is a nasty climb and the obvious place to go, and Cédric Vasseur has gone straight away, and the race commissaire almost having a heart attack there because nobody's doing what he's telling them to do. It's quickly joined by Schumacher. Now let's see who's going to go from the peloton here, because this is the next obvious place to close the gap down at 22 seconds as they start the climb. Leaving it all, still steady pacemaking. I can't believe it will stay that way. These are the two leaders now. I don't think they are the two leaders. I think these are the remnants. This is Nibali and Beredo. So we've got Schumacher up front, who says to be said he's suffering from allergies with the springtime. at this time of the year. Francisco Perez, where is he? Front or back? He may have paid for the effort. I think he's at the front. Maybe he was at the back. So he's been working very hard for Case Depart since La Redoute. He might be paying the price on the climb here. Very good tempo riding by Lampre here. No sign of Cunego though. This is Beredo and Nibali. We've still got the other two up front, Schumacher and Vasseur. Very fast climb this, but it is hard, largely because they try to average about 20 miles an hour up it. There's the two leaders on the right, two chasers on the left. Quick step marshalling both attacks. It was Vasseur who launched the attack, but it shows you that Schumacher is feeling good again. They've shaken off the allergies today. It tended to affect him in Flèche Wallonne, so he says. A little bit of picture interruption there, that's due to the trees. Beredo, and it looks like the remnants of the breakaway there. Still a spread of only 21 seconds. It always seems more than that because we can't see the peloton on those back pans. Nobody helping out Lampre on the attack here, which has to be for Cunego. This is the back of the field here now, and the leaders of the Continental Pro Circuit. Alexander Efekim is the rider in red in front of the Euskaltel rider. Well, this has been strong riding by these two, and really they've never got away from anybody. Yet they've been blazing a trail since La Redoute, one way and another. But look at this, the peloton they're saying now is just 17 seconds off the shoulder, so which would mean if we pan around, let's have a look. This is the remnants of the climb. Karsten Kroon there. Nibali, Kroon. The peloton must be around that corner just off our camera if our picture is correct. Otherwise, they're timing 16 seconds to this group here, being led by Beredo. Kroon coming through on the inside. I think Beredo thought he was going to launch an attack there. That's why he got out the saddle, because he won't try to affect the lead now. Cedric Vasseur, his teammate, and it must be a 15 seconds to the first group, not the peloton. And that is Chris Horner from Predictor Lotto, who's now decided it's time to try and go as well. Chris is a surprisingly good bike rider who wins in the Romandy last year. That's coming up next. Chris will be going back to the Tour of Romandy, where he hopes to excel once again. He really has warmed up to continental racing here with the Lotto squad. He was never enjoyed being with Française des Jeux, did absolutely nothing for a couple of years, and how ironic, he pulls back the star of the day, who's a member of Française des Jeux, which is Remy Di Gregario. We've got 15 kilometers to go, so he's been in the lead for 235 kilometers today before the peloton picked him up. Nibali trying now, don't know where he is on the course. No, he's trying to get rid of Beredo still, and Karsten Kroon. Huge effort to reach the leaders. Beredo's after him, missed the move, trying to make amends here, but they've got rid of Karsten Kroon. A little bit of a surprise there. He's running on he's probably pedaling about a 21 right now on this climb. And now this looks as though Vasseur has been dropped there by Schumacher. There is Schumacher. And Chris Horner looks as though he's getting himself a little bit of company. 15 kilometers to go. Schumacher noses closer to Liege. Unfortunately, the race didn't finish in Liege. Over the river and up the hills into Ans. Little check back here by Vasseur. That's where he unhitched. Our camera's not having much luck today, are they? They missed the moves. Can't be everywhere. This is Beredo. Nibali. Well, Beredo obviously caught Nibali. Nibali attacked him. We never saw that. Beredo's got him back. Hurt him as they come up the Côte de Sartillon. 14 seconds to the second group. Another counter-attack coming here. Now this looks like an attack by the Cofidis rider Leonardo Duke, is it? No, it's not. No, it's not. This is Rick Verbrugge. Should have recognised the long, thin legs of Rick. Brugge now trying to bridge the gap for Cofidis towards the end of his career as well. This is Schumacher with his band, his leg and his allergies, just trying to hold off everybody now with a lone effort. They may not have known him quite so well when he rode the Amstel Gold a week ago, but they know him now, and they're not going to give him too much of a lead, I wouldn't think. This man, does he know the word give up? I don't think he does. Absolutely fabulous ride. He'll win the accolades of the team today. He'll get to the finish, but it's not going to be a very pleasant 14 kilometres for Remy. Top is in the distance now, this long climb. Then we'll change direction again as we gradually get down towards Liege. There's the top. First man over the top, the winner of the Amstel Gold Race, Stefan Schumacher. Now there's a splinter and it's being caused by Paolo Bettini down there. His two quick-step boys have softened the race up, and now it's time for him to try and do something about it, and he knows how to read a bike race. Uncanny. That's a good attack there. It looks like it might be Cunego. I'm not sure, but that Lamprey rider just there below our picture looks as though it's Damiano Cunego, after the hard work by his team trying to get onto the back of that group. This is where we swing onto the main road now. This is when you don't want a 14 or 13 second lead, because they'll see you up the road. Yes, the rider who latched on, number 21, Damiano Cunego. Valverde's got across. The big boys are still thinking of this race. And it's more, and there's Bogart. It's more or less closed down here. And they've caught Nibali at the front. I haven't seen him caught, but I can hear race radio saying he's just been caught. Rider from Discovery Channel here, Igor Martinez, still also there. It's all down to explosive power on the last two climbs now. One official and one to the finishing line. 13 kilometres to go. They obviously are marking Bettini, are after him straight away, not least Damiano Cunego. This is the carriageway now, where they can keep an eye on all of the moves for a moment. We're sure to be racing past Standard Liège football ground. Inside 13 kilometres to go. Big effort now by Schumacher required here. For the second time in a week. He's got the whole classic field behind him. Fine piece of time trialing here. Well, the rest weren't strong enough to hold him. He had to go it alone. Not something I think he would want to do, but he had to go it alone because there was no other way he could try for a bid for a win. Quick step moving back into position at the front. It's going to be shortly everybody. This is Sylvain Chavanel here, who's decided that time trialing isn't good enough for him. He's going to try himself. 12 kilometres to go. Well, I could think of better places to launch an attack rather than on a platform right in front of all the audience, because the field behind are just going to keep him just on a nice little loose rein. 16 seconds from the finishing line. Meanwhile, on the same stretch of road, a little bit further ahead, is Stefan Schumacher. Well, if our camera goes all the way around, there in the distance you can see the leader, because there's the petrol station on the left, and this is the long straight road. And Sylvain Chavanel really doesn't need to be here right now. Chance to put his sponsor on television, I guess. And here they come, wise man. Live to fight another day in about 5 minutes time, to be precise, because we're going to head past. Look at the speed of the riders here. 50 miles an hour, 80 kilometres an hour, slightly downhill towards the football club. Schumacher has got a free wheel as well, frustrating as it might be, because he simply can't pedal at those speeds. fourth in the Criterium International, has gone back into the pack. He's much more of a stage rider, national champion of the time trial for the last 2 years for France. Absolute flat out spread right across the road. Here we head now into Liege. The ride to the back, there by choice or by the fact they can't get to the front, who knows. This is the industrial sector of Liege. It's a town of two faces. Up over on the hills there to the right, that's the way you go home. As you head back in towards Holland or towards France. Desperate to get what speed he can out of the bike here. Across the Meuse again, or the Maas. And it looks as though T-Mobile, the riders, now trying to liven this up. Well, they've got Kim Kirken still in there, and he's been riding pretty well. He wears the colours of the champion of Luxembourg, very similar to the same champion's jersey of Holland, which is worn by Michael Bogart as we cross over the Maas. T-Mobile, dead centre, Liege gas thinking of the killer. Danilo De Luco bringing their men up on the left. CSC haven't lost hope, they're out on the left of our picture as well. And still I would thinking of Frank Schleck or Andy Schleck maybe. We've seen moves by Voigt off the back, Van der Velde off the front, we've seen Sorensen, we've seen Carsten Kroon blow up, and we've seen Bobby Jewett die, so there is nobody else left for them to work for really, apart from those three. Well, Stefan Schumacher probably wouldn't have made a move like this if he hadn't have won Amstel Gold last week, but you've got the confidence now you're a winner. And he is riding brilliantly. He's got it still out at 20 seconds, and shortly we'll be on to the final climb officially of the day, which we hit at 256 kilometres in, which is about 2 kilometres away. Peloton brings them round, racing through the suburbs of Liège and crossing now into the finishing town of Ans. I'm not quite there yet.
Gap for the leading rider is now 20 seconds.
20 seconds is the official gap. You might be able to hear Radio Tour today. Official gap is 20 seconds, down to 19 now. Still T-Mobile on the front. This is round the back streets, just to get them across Liège and onto the finishing climb of the Côte de Saint-Nicolas. And the good roads if you're in the lead, even if you've only got 19 seconds, because the riders can't see you anymore. That was a great piece of descending and fast riding down the highway past the football club. Now we're racing down through here, turning at the end. Plenty of cheers for the German in Belgium. This is actually the Italian quarter of Liège. You probably will see occasionally the Italian flag flying. Well, the Italians chose to adopt this part of Liège. 7 kilometres to go, 15 seconds. This has been a race of seconds since they nailed back that breakaway finally, but they've never been all together. Schumacher, he must know the gap is so close. It could almost be a futile move now. And here comes a move now, again by Team CSC. That's Alexander Vinokurov, third wheel, 2005 winner. Heading towards the Côte de Saint-Nicolas. Nothing in it, 13 seconds. CSC are leading the charge. It's still a little bit unclear who for, but it's got to be for one of the Schlecks, Andy or Frank. This is the start of the climb, 6.5 kilometres to go. 11 seconds the gap. 111, 11.1%. 11's the figure. Short and sharp. There's the Italian flags. A little Italy as we race through here now towards the final climb. A kilometre to the top. And a big move coming now, not surprisingly from Liege gas, but it's also not coming here from Danilo De Luca. It's another way of telling you I'm not sure who it is he's coming from, but we'll find out pretty soon here. Leaky Gas haven't got too many strong riders left, but I would go for somebody like Specialetti. Just can't quite see his face clearly enough here, but I think it might be Alessandro Specialetti making the move, and that looks like De Luca is on second wheel at the front of the peloton. Yeah, it's Specialetti as he comes up the climb. De Luca sitting there watching everybody else, and watch out, David Rebellin is there in the white jersey. So often this is the climb as the heads put in their effort, and Damiano Cunego picks up the running. Now the race is on for who gets first to the top. It still is not an attack. This is a pace, but only the best men will master it. Cunego. Rebellin sits their third wheel. Valverde. Carlos Barrido somehow is sitting in there. Oh no, he's not. We're at the back in the Moto 3 now. This is the carnage at the back, as it's goodbye from the pacemakers of the day, including sadly Stefan Schumacher, swept up there with that surge on the climb. Bettini still there just off the back wheel of Alejandro Valverde. Michael Bogart, move coming on the right. The long way round, sometimes the best. It's an AG2R rider who's launching an attack here. John Gadere it is. Had a good result in Flèche-Wallonne. And now being countered immediately by Damiano Cunego. Our motorbike in the way a little bit. We're getting out as fast as we can as a sudden acceleration comes. Valverde not under any stage of panic here, just watching and waiting. Last year's winner could be this year's winner. Michael Bogart, driven on by the fact he'll never have to go through this pain again. Always the man for the classics. Occasionally the winner, often second, third or fourth, and Bettini comes through. Power effort by Paolo Bettini. This is how he's won so many of his bike races. This isn't a pacemaking, this is an attack. Valverde knows it, jumps him straight away. Rebellin tries to cross the gap, looks as though he will. Long effort, huge effort by Bettini. He hasn't quite got those legs of yesteryear yet. Valverde's got him, tied him up and put him back in his place. 4.7 to go, rest period. Time to look around to see who's going to make the next move. The starry rider down there, by the way, is Matthias Kessler now. It's not Valverde. He's third wheel, about to go fourth. It's rethink time. You know, these riders are such equal ability today, and they know it. They're scared to make a move. They're not sure, because they know one move, they make it full on and they're mastered, then they've lost the race. Nobody will make the move. Perhaps Michael Bogart launches the attack. Again, the counter-attack is coming. Looks like his Discovery Channel have put a rider into the thick of the action now. The camera's all over the place and I can't quite nail that down, but it's certainly Valverde who is just in fourth wheel. And Discovery Channel have launched an attack here, and this looks like it is a move that they want. I'm just trying to see if I can see that picture clearly to see which rider it is. It doesn't really matter now because it's all over. I think it's Popovic, but I'm not certain. It looks like it might be. Well, on the left of our picture, Valverde is where he doesn't want to be, and this looks like it is Schleck now trying to go clear. Oops, up on the inside, it looks like it might be Andy Schleck who's tried to jump away here. The killer's straight onto him. The little figure there of Danilo De Luca. And that is a good move here. It's Frank Schleck who's gone clear, the elder of the two, and De Luca's reached him. Now these are two workhorses of the bike race. They could well hold off here. Yes, it is Frank Schleck, one of two Luxembourgers. The other one's his brother Andy, but Frank is currently the better of the two, but they say that one day Andy will be even better than elder brother. And De Luca rather is making hard work to try and get on here, because Frank Schleck isn't waiting for anybody. And again another move coming, but not from Bogart trying to reach them. That looks like Decker down there. Left in absolute no man's land. Can't reach the leaders. The peloton are just behind him. Thomas Decker in between. De Luca reaches them. We're over the top. We still have the horrible little climb up to the finishing line. De Luca is in a brilliant position now, and he knows it. He's not helping at all, Schleck here. He's waiting. He's gambling here. Just checking on how close they are behind. He make a quick turn. He'll go back behind Schleck, because there's the gap, and there's Thomas Decker trying to reach them. Well, they're committed now. If they go back, they've lost the race. They've got to go to the line now. It's all too close to the finish at 2.7 kilometres. It's make it or break it right now for Danilo De Luca. And Decker knows it as well. He's got to reach them. Scars of the day there, looks like, on the arm of Schleck. Schleck can't afford to wait too long. He's going to have to work here with Danilo De Luca. 8 seconds is nothing at all. Valverde and Rodriguez are the two riders down there for Case d'Apan. Cunego is still there. And if they don't work, they've lost Liege, Bastogne, Liege. Schleck has gone through. Danilo De Luca, final drink? Yes. Now it's all down to the ring. 2 kilometres to go. De Luca's had a brilliant spring campaign, culminated last week with a second place in Flèche Wallonne. Still looking for a win now. Well, Schleck looks over his shoulder. Can he lift it again? He looked the wrong way there. He looks over his shoulder now. You know, it's been a race of wait and see, and again the peloton is waiting and seeing. You can't do that at 1.6 kilometres out. De Luca doesn't want this position, but he's got no choice. They've got to work together. They can't afford to finesse. I think Decker's been swept up. I can't see him at all now. He just made that move a little bit too late. He should have jumped onto the wheel of these two when they went. Easy to say, harder to do. They're going nowhere ahead of this field, still locked at 10 seconds. They're just over a mile from the finish now, albeit a mile. And I apologise to Thomas, because there he is, still hanging in there. And that must be the 10-second gap, so it is a bit further back to the peloton, and that might be enough to make the difference. Schleck 100% committed now, as is Danilo De Luca. There is Thomas Decker. Those legs are rather crying out for a rest. He sat back in the saddle, looked over his shoulder, and probably said, it's not going to happen. There's the kilometre now, and it's all climb. They don't call this a climb, you see. It's not one of the climbs. It would be the 13th climb of the day, unlucky for some. But it's always a climb which will break up any sprint. De Luca is on fire, and I don't think Schleck is going to have much of a chance against him, in all honesty. De Luca tries to the limit. He always looks as though he's under pressure, but he still can add another notch to his gun if he tries, and he does. Frank Schleck looks very like his brother Andy. And still T-Mobile working at the front for Kim Kirken, who's just below us there in the picture. I think that's Kim. No, that's actually the Rabobank rider. That's Michael Bogart. Well, this doesn't look like a group at all. This is, I think, must be slipping away from the bunch here. Not the group we want to see. There's the group we want to see. Jérôme Pinot down there as well. Just look at the face here. That's why he gets his nickname, the Killer. He knows how to suffer, but he still can deliver a final blow. And that is a move down there, and I think it is Francisco Perez. Well, I didn't know he was still up in this group, I must be honest. Oh, it's Valverde. And look how they're coming and closing in here. Rapidly, Schleck has cracked here. This is the sprint. It's already begun. And De Luca is going to win, but Schleck isn't going to get second because Valverde's come over the top of him. Last year's winner, and as smooth as you like. A huge effort required from Valverde. The pain on the face of Michael Bogart, who might make fourth, but Danilo De Luca gets the big win of the Spring Classics. He promised it on Wednesday, he delivers on Sunday, and Danilo De Luca takes it. Valverde just about 3 or 4 seconds too late. Schleck did well to hold third there. Bettini, the world champion, fourth. Rebellin, the winner on Wednesday, comes over. I make him fifth. Bogart was in there, and Cunego was in there as well. What a terrific show of defiance. Schleck made the move. De Luca finished it off. How sad is that? Because really CSC seemed to crack up a little bit today. They lost a number of riders, but they tried to make amends with a strong ride by Frank Schleck. They'll all be coming in dribs and drabs, those that reach the finishing line, but there is a very happy man today. Danilo De Luca. I reckon he just made himself the top favourite for the Tour of Italy, which will be his next big target here. But now he's got a huge classic result with the La Doyenne, the Liege-Bastogne-Liege, the oldest of them all, under his belt. Now comes the pushing and shoving, and Liege got a firm grip of his hand and says, "Come with me, Danilo, I'll clear a path for you." Hard work, but she's done it. 6 hours and 37 minutes the clock was stopped today, and still counts for the rest. There it is, another look at it here. Danilo De Luca, he had to go when he did, he had to gamble. He might have sensed that Schleck was at full pressure. Schleck must have had a decision like, "You're not going to get me," and he kicked again after Valverde passed him and fully deserves his third place. And if you've won it last year, I think second's a pretty good defence of your title for Alessandro. Italy score, keep up their remarkable run, but it's the first Italian victory since Rebellin back in 2004. And you probably hear Daniel Mandas saying that fifth place has gone to David Rebellin. He was the winner on Wednesday, but we saw it. Oh, he's so aggressive, isn't he? There's the confirmation. De Luca gets his win. Yes, Rebellin was fifth. Paolo Bettini, the world champion, fourth. Bogart in his swan song Liège, sixth. Cunego seventh. These are all big names making the result in the end. Juan Jose Cobo riding very well now in ninth. And the champion of Luxembourg, Kim Kirken, completing the top 10. Valverde, as the defending champion, is on the podium again. Well done to him, but a special well done to Danilo De Luca. This was a race for the strong men in the end, but for mile after mile, there was really no idea who was going to win. But here he comes, Bernard Hinault bringing him up, because same organisation, the Tour de France, does Liège-Bastogne-Liège here in Belgium.
Milliers de spectateurs et supporters, félicité par Monsieur Michel Dardenne, ministre, vice-président du gouvernement wallon, et par Monsieur André Gilles, député
presentation I was just hearing there by the Vice President and the Minister of Local Government here in the region, giving the prize to Danilo De Luca.
Et depuis quelques minutes, vainqueur de Liège.
Kisses all round. I make that his 40th win of his career and his third of the season. Not bad. Third in Flèche Wallonne, wins Bastogne, Liège-Bastogne-Liège. Third in the Amstel Gold Race. That's a great ride by Danilo De Luca. He's back. He'll be up favoured for the Giro. Don't forget to watch out for the tape coming your way of that event here on World Cycling Productions. Stefan Schumacher left his mark on the Spring Classics. Who'll be next in the Grand Tours? I look forward to being back with you soon. Goodbye.